So you may have heard the big news. Is it really big? If you're a Democrat, it's big. George Clooney, seen there last month with the president, Biden, and Obama, and what's her name again? Julia Roberts. They were very tight just last month. Clooney helped raise like $30 million for Joe Biden. The big news is today he says Biden should step down. He should not be the nominee. Now, for a moment, though, really, let's think about this. George Clooney, what movie has he been in the past 20 years? I have no idea. I remember he was in that hospital soap opera show like 30 years ago. He's primarily known now for being married to Amal and that silly lake he likes to go to in Italy. Anyway, it is kind of a big deal if you're a Democrat that this guy came out in the New York Times and said, Joe Biden needs to go. I love you, but we need a new nominee. They're playing all cool about this right now. Joe Biden and his people, this is a big deal. And remember when they told us we were imagining it, that Joe Biden might have had problems at George Clooney's fundraiser, because that's when Obama had to lead him out of the room, remember? Look how Obama tries to play it off all cool. He's talking to him. Joe is totally oblivious and has that weird, stiff walk. They actually call this a cheap fake, that somehow conservative media manipulated it all. Anyway, this is a fascinating time. Right now, I'm hearing people like Chuck Schumer are open to Joe leaving, Nancy Pelosi, and they're asking him. Some behind the scenes are asking Joe to leave. Pretty soon, they're going to tell him to leave. He won't have a choice. Now, I keep hearing, well, Joe has all the delegates. I mean, if he doesn't want to go, he won't go. I think they're going to convince him. Yep, there are ways to get him to leave. Who remembers that guy who wrote the report about all the classified stuff in his garage? His name was Hur, H-U-R.
The evidence and the president himself put his memory squarely at issue. We interviewed the president and asked him about his recorded statement. Quote, I just found all the classified stuff downstairs, end quote. He told us that he didn't remember saying that to his ghostwriter. He also said he didn't remember finding any classified material in his home after his vice presidency. And he didn't remember anything about how classified documents about Afghanistan made their way into his garage.
So he spent 2 days with Joe Biden in a conference room, recorded the whole thing, and he knows that Joe Biden was lying. He's the one who said Joe at court would present himself as an old man, nice old man with a bad memory, so that's why we're not going to prosecute. And he knows that that audio tape will be devastating for Joe. When he says things like this, random non sequiturs, it's a little bit hard to read, but in this section he said, he's talking about something that happened in law school. President Biden, he called on me, you know how they do in law school, discuss a case, you know, in your first torts class, and I had never read the case, and I stood up and I spoke for 10 minutes. The whole class stood up, started clapping. That didn't happen, by the way. They were made to shut the plant down every whatever, about 8 months or 6 months or a year. Hey, by the way, they're asking him about classified documents in the garage, and he's telling weirdo stories from 50 years ago. What does he say here? Whatever it is. And the guy was wearing the wrong pants, wrong jeans, and a spark caught fire, and he got caught in the containment vessel, and he lost part of his penis and one of his testicles, and he was 23 years old. This has nothing to do with the classified stuff in his garage. This is a way to evade responsibility, run out the clock, delay tactic, whatever, or just dementia. Could be. If we hear that on audio, it could be yet another game changer. Garland refuses to hand it over, okay? Republicans want it. They want it bad. Pretty soon, I think the Democrats are going to release it. But the Republicans got the ball rolling.
How can you claim privilege for the audio of the transcript you just testified was the same?
I'm talking specifically about that particularized rationale, and you don't want to discuss it. which is why you're non-responsive, and that's why we need the audio.
A White House official would voluntarily cooperate in a criminal investigation only if the Justice Department promises not to release the audio recordings? It doesn't make any sense.
It's interesting what's going to happen. You can see this could get Joe Biden out. If they release that tape or threaten to release it, I think Joe will go away. They'll say, you know what, you're right. I do have a little bit long in the tooth. Time for some fresh blood. This is how it could go down. And if that's not enough, there's plenty of other things they can look at. Next.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the... And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Why?
Wow, weird. They can start looking at his family and tell Joe, we're looking at your family again, but for real this time. After all, Joe Biden, President Biden, why did your brother really write you a check for $200,000? Who does that? What's that all about? Was it really a loan repayment, or was it a payoff for the work that James Biden did for a company called AmeriCorps and you got your cut, as we believe has been the arrangement all along? Why did you get a $40,000 check? I mean, really, from your sister-in-law? Who does that? Another loan? The poorest man in Congress? Why did you co-sign a truck? You bought a truck and you made a big deal about posing for it. This is a very suspicious picture. We went through this. This truck may have been purchased with money from China. These people, I believe, are dirty. And we know it, and the Democrats, they've got to know it too. They could start, say, Joe, I'm sorry, but maybe it's the right thing to do because your life could get really complicated. They could ask questions like, well, the Daily Mail already asked, why did you refinance your home in Wilmington, Delaware 20 times? 20 times in like 25 years? Who the hell does that? And the house you had before that, you refinanced that 15 times. You were there for about 20 years. Who does that? This is crazy stuff. And how did you get all this stuff on a government salary, right? You moved into that palace right after you left government service. And remember how he would say all the time, I have no money.
I was listed for all the years I was a senator as the poorest man in the United States Congress.
I had the dubious distinction of being listed as the poorest man in Congress for 36 years.
I had the great pleasure of being listed as the poorest man in Congress for 36 years.
This is, I think it's called venality. This is where you telegraph to folks that you want money. You are susceptible to bribery. You're basically inviting bribes. It's a theory. I do know this. If they can get Donald Trump on nothing and indict him, 4 times up and down the East Coast, New York, Washington, Florida, they can get Joe on all of this other stuff. I mean, real stuff. 200 grand from his brother, government salary. And weird statements like this also indicate that Joe had his hand out from the very beginning. This is from the mid-1970s. Joe complaining about how he doesn't have that much money. I am not a rich man, and my family does not have money. If I sold everything I own, including my house and cars, I could probably scratch up $200,000, which wasn't bad in the mid-1970s, but that's nothing compared to most of the guys in the Senate. You see, he thinks he's entitled to this stuff. Last September, when the Senate was debating a pay raise for itself, he said, I don't know about the rest of you, but I am worth a lot more than my salary of $42,500 a year in this body. It seems to me that we should flat out tell the American people we are worth our salt. Again, back then, $42,500 was a great salary. This was offensive even back then. How did this guy keep getting reelected? The editor of a great big paper in New Hampshire noticed this. One of the greatest editorials ever written about Joe Biden. As a simple explanation of the country and its sad state, no more perfect illustration could be given than an Associated Press dispatch from Washington, D.C., in which Senator Joseph R. Biden, Democrat of Delaware, is quoted, I don't know about others, but I am worth a whole lot more than my salary of $42,500 a year in this body. Oh, this guy's fantastic. Can you imagine the conceit and stupidity of a young man of 30 who would say that, I don't know about others, but I am worth a lot more than my salary of $42,500 a year in this body. The voters of Delaware who elected this stupid, conceited jackass to the Senate should kick him in the rear to knock some sense into him and kick themselves for voting for such an individual to represent them. Again, always about money, the refinancing of the house. I'm the poorest guy, yet he's buying these incredible estates. I think it's serious circumstantial evidence, and a lot more than circumstantial, of corruption. So if I know this, you know this, the Democrats know this, the Department of Justice knows this, they all want him gone. I think he can be influenced. And I've been right about this stuff a lot, by the way. Early on in Joe's presidency, this is back in February of 2021. I saw him take a little trip, just a little trip, and it made me nervous. And I gave him this advice. I really was worried about his safety. This is what I said. When you're the man, everybody's looking and watching. And I've noticed something about you. And actually, from the heart, sir, this is sincere. It concerns me. You're taking those stairs a little bit too fast. This whole running thing, this whole trying to convince everybody that you're a man of vitality. I've seen you run down ramps, run on stage, run off stage. It's going to catch up with you, and we're starting to see it. Take it easy, okay? Fair enough? Fair enough. He's 78. Okay, shouldn't be running. My advice to President Biden, please, Mr. President, walk, don't run, and maybe also don't ride, okay? I was a lot slimmer back then, 3 years ago. What happened 38 days later? Joe took the worst fall going up Air Force One. And the guy has taken so many falls since. His family wouldn't tell him. His staff wouldn't tell him. I told him, but he didn't listen. Look at all these terrible falls and more and more. And you know what? I'm right about this. Joe, you really should get out now. In some ways, I want you to stay because I think you're definitely beatable, but it's bad for the country. You shouldn't be president for another 10 minutes. And I know you're not going to be the nominee. I made that prediction 1.5 years ago. You know who else should quit now? The ultimate him. He's not going to be the Democrat nominee, I can tell you that. I know for sure the Democrat nominee will not be Joe. And it is because of this file situation and a whole lot of other things. Yeah. So I said he was going to fall, and he fell. I said he's not going to be the nominee, and I think that's going to work. Now, he could do it the easy way or the hard way. It looks like he wants to do it the hard way. There is some precedent for this. You know, I hear the family is dead set against Joe Biden resigning or giving up the nomination. But his family, I know he loves them and all, and everybody loves their family, but they're just not impressive people. And they're wrong, and they make mistakes, and they get arrested, and they don't take responsibility for children in other states and the grandparents and all this stuff. Joe puts a little bit too much stock in his family.
Because being an Irish family, family was everything. My dad's expression was family is the beginning, the middle, and the end. And he meant it.
Yeah, family is great, totally, yeah. But that doesn't mean your family is right, okay? And these people are the ones who are saying, Joe, you must stay in. But again, they don't really know all that much. They've really made some very serious mistakes. So they're telling him to stay in, just like Richard Nixon's family told him to stay in. Now, Richard Nixon, I admired him tremendously, posthumously. I still admire him, and a great family. And they did. They told him, don't resign, Daddy. Look at this. That's Julie hugging her father, Tricia and Ed Cox off to the left. And it's just a beautiful note that she wrote to her father 2 days before he resigned. Dear Daddy, I love you. Whatever you do, I will support you. I am very proud of you. Please wait a week or even 10 days before you make this decision. Go through the fire just a little bit longer. You are so strong. I love you. Julie. Millions support you. Just a beautiful note. and they loved each other very much, but the father had the political wisdom and strength to do what he had to do to protect his family post-presidency. If he had been impeached or stuck around, something bad could have happened, and his post-presidential life could have been miserable.